Welcome to this special edition of All About Bitcoin in the home of a prolific hodler, Bitcoin bull. I'm talking about Michael Saylor. He doesn't need any introduction, but he's the CEO of MicroStrategy. Hello there, Michael. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for coming to visit me, Christine.
Yeah.
Welcome to my home.
Welcome to Michael Saylor's home in the den of the Bitcoin bull. All right, so we're here down in Miami for NFT Art Miami Week, but we happen to be stopping by Michael's house. I'm your host, Christine Lee, anchor at CoinDesk. Let's check in quickly on Bitcoin right now. The CoinDesk Bitcoin price XBX index currently trading at 57,300 and well, it was $55. Bitcoin is slightly down just over 1% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the CoinDesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. So this is a very exciting episode that we're covering as part of our coverage for the Future of Money Week. MicroStrategy, Michael's firm, has just recently bought 7,000 or for the fiscal fourth quarter has bought 7,000 Bitcoins, which are worth, which now your firm holds over 121,000 BTC valued at about $7 billion. You're also one of CoinDesk's most influential alumna since 2020. So, Michael, we're seeing Bitcoin dip slightly on news that the Federal Reserve Fed Chair Jerome Powell is saying that inflation may not be as transitory as previously believed, may not be so short term. Does this come as any surprise to you?
I think everybody in the crypto community has been focused on inflation for the past year and a half. I got into Bitcoin because I thought that inflation was going to be a problem starting in March, and that's why we got into the business. I saw the congressional testimony today, and my takeaway was there's acknowledgement by the administration that there is an inflation challenge that needs to be addressed, and there's political consensus on both sides of the aisle that the Fed should do something about it. I think that was the news in the market.
Mm-hmm. So there is thought that there will be some tapering in January and it'll be more hawkish in terms of what the Fed will do in interest rates, rather in their stimulus bond buying program. That they might start pulling the lever on that. So that could have a detrimental effect to risk-on assets like Bitcoin, like oil. Do you see that happening?
Well, I guess if we go back to March of 2020, all the assets traded down. Gold traded down, Bitcoin traded down, equities traded down, bonds traded down. There was just a general risk contraction. So occasionally that happens, but that's why we don't really try to trade the markets or guess the markets. We take a long view. I mean, short term is 4 years, long term is 10 years. And as you know, I'm holding Bitcoin forever, Christine. So there's going to be volatility in the near term, but it seems to me that now we have universal acknowledgement that the world needs an inflation hedge. After scientifically studying everything on Earth, I've concluded Bitcoin is the best inflation hedge. So the answer is, if you have Bitcoin, don't sell it. If you don't have Bitcoin, buy it. And if your Bitcoin's moving around, wait.
Okay. So in terms of your buying strategy, are you just waiting to raise more money and buy it? Is there any science to the timing of buying it?
We buy Bitcoin as fast as we can with whatever money we find lying around. So when we generate cash flows, we buy Bitcoin. And if we have equity cash flows from stock options get issued, we buy Bitcoin. If we issue debt, we buy Bitcoin. We'll from time to time use either cash flows or equity or debt in order to acquire more Bitcoin. And I think we're not terribly price sensitive. Like, we don't try to time the market. When Bitcoin traded down to 29 or 30,000 after the China crackdown, lots of people were calling for it to go to 20,000. we bought it at 36,000 and people said, oh, you overpaid, blah, blah, blah. But then it trades up to 56,000 and it doesn't look so stupid. So I think that if you try to time the market, you're just going to frustrate yourself. If you're buying it for the right reason, which is to hold it for the long term, then I think, any time is a good time to buy Bitcoin.
How high do you think Bitcoin will go? And I know your end of year outlook is about $100,000 per Bitcoin. Is that still the case? And going forward, or are you a million Bitcoin?
I don't have a near-term forecast or a forecast this year for Bitcoin.
You have the laser eyes.
What I do have the laser eyes, but the laser eyes mean that I believe that Bitcoin is critical technology to the human race, and it's digital property, and as apex property, it should presumably demonetize gold and investment properties and second homes and monetary indexes and ETFs. And that just means it should grow certainly past the market cap of gold and into the market cap of investment property. So, obviously, I think that the asset class over the long term is going to dramatically appreciate. I just can't predict the volatility or the trajectory between now and there, so I don't try to.
Mm-hmm. All right. Pivoting over to some other news. A lot of eyes are on Jack Dorsey. He's just announced that he is resigning from Twitter. He is also a Bitcoin enthusiast. He's led Twitter. He is leading Square. You've had a chance to talk to him at previous occasions. Do you have any idea where his mind is set in terms of, does he want to get into crypto? Does he want to get into Bitcoin?
I think Jack's the hardest working man in the industry, right? He's been leading Square, which is extraordinary, and they're just doing great. And he's been leading Twitter, which is another extraordinary job, and he's done a great job there. And he's also been very instrumental and influential in the entire Bitcoin community, which is almost like a third job. I don't know anybody that could do as well as he's done. I think the implications of this is he's going to focus more on Square and more on Bitcoin, and the world will move forward. I think it'll work out great.
Some of the criticism was from an activist investor of his, Elliott Management, was that he was not focused enough on Twitter. And in his resignation letter, he mentioned that he has moved Twitter to a point where it could move beyond its founders. I wonder, is it better that he is more focused, I guess, on payments versus social media and, other adjacent industries?
Jack's success at Square is stunning. And there was a point when Twitter desperately needed him. He turned around Twitter and he saved the company. And so he was instrumental there. And I think at this point, he said in his letter, he feels like Twitter's in a good place and he can move on to focus on other things, and Twitter's going to be great. I think that ultimately, there aren't many people in the world that could be CEO of a single company, much less two or have three major initiatives. I think Jack's done a stunning job at everything he's touched.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to another tech billionaire, Elon Musk, who you have also talked with as part of the Bitcoin Mining Council. Now, he's not been, as far as I can tell, he hasn't been talking too much about Doge lately. But what have you been talking to him to, come around a Bitcoin more? Maybe, his ESG concerns can be somewhat alleviated. Where are those conversations at?
Well, I think in response to some of those early concerns, we formed the Bitcoin Mining Council, and we've already put out 2 quarterly reports. And the latest quarterly report showed efficiency was up more than 20% quarter over quarter, and sustainability is up to 57% or more. I think that the great resulting outcome of that scrutiny was we realized that Bitcoin mining is the most sustainable, cleanest, most efficient industry in the world. And I think that I think Elon's got a lot of things on his plate. He's launching rocket ships, that he's doing wonderful things at Tesla, and that's probably enough. We've all got our job to do. I think Bitcoin soldiers on and Tesla moves forward.
With the Bitcoin Mining Council, what has changed since China's crackdown on mining? And we've seen the mining industry flourish in North America, shall we say, in its place?
I think that the China crackdown created an exodus from China, and it was a godsend for North American Bitcoin miners and for the North American Bitcoin business. It really transitioned Bitcoin mining to North America and to the West in general. It was an economic windfall. Companies like mine, we were able to buy